In one of my recent videos I talked about the beginning preparations for Asclepias syriaca buds, or milkweed buds. And these were ones I harvested today out in the orchard where the other video is from. And at the moment I'm processing them and taking off some of the lower leaves. Usually when you pull off the top part of the plant, a couple leaves come with it, but I usually just separate out the buds from the leaves themselves. I'll show you guys that. And the latex on them can be slightly irritating to your hands. It doesn't seem to bother mine, but you could wear gloves if you were worried about getting it on your fingers, but it probably won't bother you. Some people cook this whole piece, and they'll cook even some of the leaves. I prefer to take them off just because the leaves are not quite as tender as the buds are. A few small, well, don't matter at all. And as you're processing these, just be mindful of any bugs or insects. Spiders like to hide in the center of these leaf stalks, so it's good to be mindful of that. And a lot of these buds are kind of small. I picked them a bit early, but in another week or two they'll be probably twice the size. This is usually the size that they are when you pick them, but I just want to get some early buds. And once these are prepared, you'll boil them in 2 to 3 changes of water. And I typically only boil them in 1 change of water, but for the sake of demonstration, I'll boil it in 2. And this is to dispel our cardiac glycoside that's in the latex. And again, they say in a lot of field guide books that it's to get rid of the bitterness. And I've eaten these raw, and I've eaten the pods when they're past their flowering stage raw, and they're not bitter at all, but I could imagine that if you didn't boil them, if you consumed enough of them, you might have at least digestive discomfort, but I've never experienced that again, even in tasting them. And these are available throughout usually the middle of June into the first week of July. And after that point, once they flower, the flowers themselves smell delicious and can be made into a syrup. It's kind of like a sweet, flowery syrup. But this is my favorite stage of growth for these plants. So after you've cleared out most of the leaves, put them in water that's at a rolling boil. So you only need probably half of a pan filled with water. And as soon as you put them in, they start to turn this bright green color. Scram so you can see it. You want to make sure that the water stays at a rolling boil. And you'll leave these in for usually around 2 to 3 minutes. And then you change out the water, and then you put fresh water in, so you want to dump all this water out. You could rinse them at that point too, but it's not really necessary to rinse them if you don't want to. And in this case, just to speed it up, I'm boiling these in here, but I also have a secondary pan ready, so I can just scoop these out and put these in the second pan. If you look at them now, you can see they've changed from that lighter green color to this sort of deep green. And they look more actually like broccoli heads. And these, once they're processed and boiled, can be used in a stir fry. They could be used as a side dish with butter or a butter equivalent. And they resemble the texture of broccoli, but I actually like the taste of these better. That bitter, sort of biting flavor of a lot of the cruciferous vegetables isn't there at all.